Hi, Andy Shanowski here again with a follow-up to my previous video on using Inkscape for scroll design. In my previous video, I showed you how you could leverage the Spiral Path pen tool to generate smooth, consistent scrolls that are easy to create and easy to edit as opposed to the standard Bezier pen path. I demonstrated how to generate scroll backbones that could be exported to other software to use as a foundation for your designs, as well as how to create an entire design which would be suitable for engraving or something similar by using a pick and place method, utilizing a template file of previously created elements, somewhat of a Tinker Toy style of creation. In this video, I'd like to demonstrate a method for creating a more illustrative style of scroll design, generated using an additional technique known as pattern along path. Using this type of method creates vectors that are suitable for many other types of work, such as V-carving, utilizing a CNC machine or a laser burning machine, as well as any other kind of illustrative work, such as books, invitations, tattoos, you name it. While this is a very simple style of scroll, it's also highly attractive and useful for many applications. If you have not seen my previous video, I would recommend you watch it first so that you have a better understanding of how the Spiral Pen Path tool works, because it is an essential tool for the demonstration in this technique. Before I get into an actual scroll design, first let me demonstrate how this new effect called pattern along path functions. To save some time, I've created this shape that I'll use for this demonstration. There are two different procedures that you can use to generate this effect, and I'll demonstrate them both. Let's start with the first method. The first thing I'm going to do is to select the shape that I've created. This will be the shape that is patterned along the path that I will create next. So I will choose the selection tool, highlight the shape, and press Command-C or Control-C to copy it to the clipboard. Then I will create the path that I want the shape to be patterned along. So for that, I will select the pen tool, then select the spiral mode at the top, then check the drop-down box to the right and make sure that From Clipboard is selected. Then I will place points along my path and press the right mouse button to terminate the path or the line. And you will see that the shape has been stretched along that path. If you switch to the node selection tool and click on the new pattern path, you will see the little white node at the beginning of our line. If we select that and drag it in and out, we could change the width of our pattern. One thing to keep in mind here is that the shape must be drawn from left to right, and when we create our new path, the direction we draw it determines how that shape is applied. There are a couple of different rules that you need to follow to be successful. The first rule to remember is that the shape that you want to pattern must be drawn from left to right. The second rule to remember is that any part of the shape that is on the inside of a curve will be compressed, and any part of the shape that's on the outside of a curve will be stretched. So always keep that in mind when you're creating your shape. Also note in the Docker palette, I have the Path Effects palette open, and when my new element is created, you will see two new entries in the Path Effects Docker. There's the Spiral Spline effect, and secondly, the Pattern Along Path effect. These effects can be turned off and on using the eye icon. Please be aware that any path effects you create in Inkscape are only applicable to Inkscape. If you were to export this file as an SVG and import it into a different vector program, these effects would not be editable in the new program. You would not be able to go back and edit them. The effects would be essentially baked in at that point, which is fine since at that point your design should be finalized anyhow. Okay, let's look at the second method for using pattern along path. The first thing I'm going to do is, using my selection tool, select my shape. I'm going to do this first. Then I'm going to go ahead, Command-C to copy it to the clipboard. Once I've done that, I can go back to my pen tool, select Spiral Pen, select the shape as none. You could apply this same technique to something that you've created even days before. So we'll just go ahead and place some points to create a shape here and hit the right mouse button to terminate that. I'll leave the fill on for now. Then we're going to select that. We're going to go to the right to the Path Effects menu, and we're going to add the pattern along path. I've already have it highlighted in here because I did a search for it. It's like right here, so we'll select that. Then there's a number of options in here. Right now, only thing we're going to be concerned with is this third icon that says Paste Path. We already have the shape pasted to the clipboard, and we're going to paste it onto our element here by just selecting this. And at this point, it works just like it did in the first method. We could select the node editing tool and drag the shape width in and out. And there's also some other features in here that you might find yourself using. And the one that I use the most is this thing that says normal offset. If you look back at our actual pattern, you'll see this green line, which represents the underlying curve. And for the most part, our pattern is patterned along this, and it straddles this line. But if we go to the normal offset and hit the plus or minus, we can shift it to either side of that base line that we created. That is pretty much all you need to know about this particular method for now. At any point, you can go back in and grab another shape, copy it to the clipboard, and come back into this menu and paste that new shape on here. So you could try different shapes on the same base path that you've created. Okay, so this is the actual design I'm going to demonstrate for you here. Obviously, I've already got it completed, but we'll go back to the beginning and I'll show you how I created this. Basically, I only used these elements that we have right here. In fact, I only really used 1, 2, 3, 4 of these elements. I didn't even use some of these others. And there's a lot of different things you can do, but it doesn't take that many different elements to get a good design. Once you mix and match them in here and change the shape of the path that these things are attached to, it gives them all some unique shapes. But without any further ado, I will skip to the next section where I'll show you how I create this. So now that I've shown you the basic premise of how this tool functions, let me just go in here and delete these elements out, and we'll get rid of them. Let me zoom out on her a little bit. Got a series of shapes here that I created. And we're going to just use these shapes that you see right here to create that entire design that I showed you in the beginning of the video. So to begin, I'm going to use this really long shape here. Let me just show you up close what it looks like. When I designed this, I had in mind that I knew it was going to be stretched. This is going to be on the outside of the curve, so it's going to get stretched. And I keep a straight line on the top because if I put anything on the top side of that, it gets compressed and it just doesn't look good. So for this style, a straight line on the top with shapes that I want to be formed into the pattern along the bottom. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out a couple of guidelines out on the page here. It's just because what I'm going to do is create a corner element. So first thing I'll do is use the selection tool. I will select that long shape there and hit Command C to copy it to the clipboard. Then I will go to my pen tool, make sure I have spiral path selected, and for the shape, I'm going to select from clipboard. Then it kind of doesn't really matter how I draw this, or what orientation, because I can always rotate it. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a C-shaped spiral scroll here. I'm just doing it real roughly because then I'll go back and edit it. Because once it gets shaped around there, it's going to be distorted anyhow. Okay, you can see in here, everything kind of twisted up. I'm going to have to move these points around a bit to adjust it. First thing I'll do is shrink the width a little bit. And I'll select some of these nodes here and relocate them to get the shape I want. Let's bring this in. Let's bring this in a little bit. Let me turn off the snapping. It doesn't help. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. You know what? Let me just going to scale the whole thing down a little bit. How do I want to orient this? I'll leave it the way it is for no, I'm gonna flip this around. I'm gonna mirror this vertically by pressing the V key. Then I'm going to select a second time to get my rotation handles and just drag this thing around so that the sides of the scroll there on the left. You know what? I'm gonna thicken this up a little bit. Let me go back to my node selection tool and drag this a little bit just to thicken it up. There, I think that looks better. That's the only time I'm probably going to use that particular shape. Next, I'm going to select this shape right below it. Hit Command C or Control C to copy it to the clipboard. Then I'll go back to my pen tool, easier tool from clipboard. You reposition this a little bit. I'm going to start placing some points here. Okay, let me select my node editing tool. I've got the leaf is inside out, so I'm going to grab this handle and I'm going to flip it around. And I can see I need to rearrange all these here. By dragging this along, you can change how parallel it is to the previous one. This is just a matter of tweaking at this point. Let's move this back down. Okay. One thing to keep in mind, when I'm drawing these, I don't want them to connect. I like to use the negative space around the elements to help define the flow of this design and give some volume to the head of the scroll on either end. Now, I still have that same shape on the clipboard, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit the pen tool and just keep drawing, create another element. Select the node tool and rearrange things. Okay, let's get that. That looks pretty good there. Let's just do one more long one. Back to the pen tool. Node editing tool. Okay, that looks pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and just select all these and drag it down a little bit because I'm gonna bring some more scrolls off the top, and I like to bring it all the way from the back. Okay, let's before we move on, let me try adding one of these elements in here. Let's go with this here. Let me hit copy, come over here and hit V to paste it. Let me flip this vertically. Then I'm also going to scale it up just a little bit. I'm clicking on it a second time to get the rotation handles. And if I want to just go back to scale, I just click it again and it goes back to scale. Okay, I'm also going to, let's see what else we got here. Let's, yeah, it's the same one. Let's take this one. We'll hit D to duplicate it, and then we'll drag it up here. I'm going to hit H to flip it, and then I got to rotate it around. We're just going to fill in this corner back here with a leaf. Okay, that looks good. Well, let's just copy that back to the clipboard, and we'll put another one back in here. We'll start way back here, come around, and let's try just coming down to here. This is definitely going to need adjusted. Node selection tool. Let's switch this to the other side. You'll notice that I don't connect these to the others. I leave a white gap in there. I like to utilize the negative space. Oops, this is going to come out over here. I think that's a little too big, a little too wide. Let's shrink it up. Let's bring this in. Shrink all this up. Drag it over. Okay, let's add another one in here. Oops, wait, we gotta fix this over here. Okay, let's add a new one. Oops, I don't want to move that. All right, let's create one in here. Okay, let's take one of these leaves over here and duplicate it. Command D, drag it over in here. Let's scale it up a little bit. Rotate it. Let's scale that up a little more yet. Okay. Okay, struggling with that. Okay. All right, let's take one of these over here. Let's hit Command D to duplicate it. We're probably going to have to shrink that down a bit. You know what? I'm going to go in and edit this as well. You select the node editing tool. Even though it's part of a group, we could still access the parts that are on the inside of the group. Bring this up here. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Okay, we're going to edit this. Let's ungroup these. Shift Command G to ungroup. I'm going to ungroup that. Select this one on the end and get rid of it. Let's group these back up. Command G to group them. And let's rotate this down a bit. I don't like the looks of that. Let's redo that. That'll have to do. Now let's group that whole thing again. Command G. Hit Command D to duplicate it. drag it over here, and we'll rotate it. We're going to go in and edit it somewhat too. Let's scale it up a little first. Maybe a little more. Let's go into the node editing. I'll get rid of one of these nodes. We don't need 4 nodes on that. Let's ungroup this. And we'll select just these in here. Okay. Let's grab all these and get them out of the way. Node editing tool. Let's flip this to the other side. Let's do another one. On second thought, let's not. Let's make a group out of these and duplicate them. Bring it up here, rotate it around. And we're going to scale this down. Let's flip that horizontally. Yeah, that didn't make much difference. Scale it down again. Good enough for now. Let's take one of these, duplicate it, drag. You know what? Let's put this over here for now. Let's put one more leaf in here. It's going to have to be a smaller one, but okay, we got a problem there. Let's start that over. Oh, that's not good either. Okay, now put another one maybe inside. Shrink that down a little bit. The width of that's a little too wide. Like I said before, I don't connect any of these elements together. There's space between them all that gives some volume, and if they all ran together, it would just be a big mess. It wouldn't look right. So we'll do it like this. Let me take this here, and maybe we'll put it on the end of this here. Okay, well, we will do one more on the end here. Let's grab one of these leaves, go to selection tool, grab the leaf, Command D, drag it down here. It's really big. We'll have to flip that horizontally and then rotate it. And then we'll shrink it down. And what do we want to do in the center there? Let's just go ahead and Copy that. Duplicate Command E. Let's rotate it around. And it's way too big. So let's scale it down. And what do we want to do here? Let's shrink this thing down a little bit. Node editing. Let's tweak it a little bit here. And then we'll take and put a leaf in here. Let's select this. Command D. Rotate it around. That should do there. And I think I missed maybe one more little. Let's put maybe a couple more leaves in here. Let's take this one, copy it, Command D, and let's drag it right here, rotate it around. The idea is to try and get a uniform negative space all throughout the design. This is pretty good. Let me just try copying this one over here and see how it looks. Oops, let's flip that horizontally. I'm going to shrink it a little bit. See how that looks. That looks okay, I guess. Perhaps put one out on the very end of the. Let's copy that one too. Command D. Let's put something down here on the end here. Rotate it around. Maybe scale it a little bit. Let's see how. Let's rotate it a bit. Well, we'll leave it there for now. Okay. While I've shown you everything you need to know to design scrolls using this method, I understand that some people prefer a head start or ready-made resources to work with. To make things easier, I've created a template file packed with useful tools and examples. This file includes a variety of pre-configured shapes designed specifically for the method demonstrated in the video, multiple examples showcasing how each shape can be used, ready for you to copy, paste, and adapt to your own designs, as well as over 30 unique designs that I developed during the creation of this video. These are free to use in your work, whether as is or broken down and reconfigured to suit your design needs. If you're interested, this file is available for purchase on my Buy Me a Coffee website page. There's a link in the description. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching.